support you in the process should you choose to join us. You'll meet some of us personally this evening. The rest will introduce you to, at least tell you about them. And then you'll get to find out how awesome they are once you join us. So we'll keep that in the hat. You're also going to learn about, get some insights into the program, the master's program, and the STEM Plus for All Teaching Fellowship. So there's the traditional program, and then there's the Teaching Fellowship, which has some added benefits. Same content for the most part, but some added perks. And Dr. Pigman will tell you all about that. And then I want you to think as we talk about how this program with licensure, this master's program, can help support you in your future goals. So amazing. We have been named whoop, whoop, the #1 best value public university in Ohio by the U.S. News and World Report. And that is a big freaking deal. Just so you know, that's a big deal. It's competitive, and you just need to know that that's pretty amazing. And it doesn't just happen by chance. There's a lot of work. It's not like with the pandemic, you know, where everybody was rushing to put their stuff online. We worked in our program for 2 years behind the scenes to put all of our coursework online. And so we have made sure that it is aligned with best practices and standards for online education. So we really worked at it. So you know you're getting a quality product. We've been named one of the best 25 best online colleges, the Patton College, for 2021 by onlinecolleges.com. So we've been doing this for a while, and we do it pretty well. And it's nice. We always thought so, but it's nice that others are recognizing it as well. So here's some of our phenomenal faculty. We are so fortunate. These are some amazing folks who are very student-centered, who are leaders in their field, experts in the field, and just outstanding teachers committed to high quality teacher education and special education, and really committed to making sure that we prepare teachers to serve P-12 students with disabilities in the best possible way. We have Ms. Carrie Ann Bates, who is a professor of instruction, and she teaches the collaboration course and works a lot with the Gen Ed program as well, and does a lot of collaboration herself and co-teaching, and so she's an expert in that area. Dr. Danielle Feeney has been with us for a couple of years. She is an assistant professor of instruction. She is our expert in behavior and methods, phenomenal instructor. And then there's me. I've been around for a while. I'm a professor and an assistant chair right now of teacher education of the department. I'm also the coordinator of our special ed eCampus graduate programs. And then Dr. Jen Newton, amazing, is an assistant professor, and she is the coordinator for all of the special ed undergraduate programs. And her area is early childhood intervention. And I get to tell you, you get to meet Dr. Pigman now.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Diane, for the intro. My name's Ryan Pigman. I am an assistant professor of instruction in the special education program. And I also have the pleasure of serving as the STEM Plus for All program coordinator. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the STEM Plus for All program. I hope that some of you on the call right now are here to learn a little bit more about the program. It's really exciting, and it's a great opportunity. I also want to introduce, virtually, we have our project manager, Dr. Julie Maynard. She's not on the call with us tonight. However, she is, if you apply and are admitted to the program, she's someone that you'll definitely get to know. She's highly involved in every aspect of it, and communicates with our participants on an ongoing basis throughout their experience with us. So yeah, just welcome everyone. Really glad you're here, and I'm hoping that you can get to know you a little bit, and that you'll be interested in our programs and hopefully join us.
And my name is Tasha Attaway again, and I'm here to introduce what we call our student success team. And so basically, Lisa, Dale, and I are the team of people who are in the background. We don't actually do any teaching, but what we do is we help you get to where you need to be in the application process and in the registration process. My specialty is closer to the application end. Lisa's specialty is definitely in the registration area. With both of us, one of the things that I find myself saying very often is, if I don't know the answer, I can find someone who can. So if I've been in touch with a lot of you, and again, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you guys. And I will be as much as possible just quick with answers.
And they really are an amazing, amazing support. They are like the goddesses of all answers. If we don't know something, it's like, oh, we got to talk to Tasha and Lisa, and they are on it right away. It's just amazing. I think it's funny, Ryan, that you and I both put comments at the same time. It's like great minds. Yep, it's That's unanimous. Right. They really are amazing. Okay, so what are you getting into here? Our program is a master's program, and it has between 30 and 74 credits. And that just looks wickedly strange, maybe. It's not that we're indecisive, not that we're indecisive. It just depends on what you come to the program with. So if you already have an undergraduate degree in teaching, a teaching license, then it's not going to take as many credit hours to get to your master's degree with licensure. It just depends. And all graduate programs, all master's programs at OU require 30 credit hours. So that's the minimum. But if you come with if you come into this program with a degree in something else, it's okay. It's not a problem. It just means it'll just take you a few more credit hours to get there. So that's where the high end comes in, because we've had people come in from business or whatever. So career changers, it's good. We welcome you. Come on in. Go ahead, Ryan. You can talk about STEM Plus for All.
Yeah, so one of the big differences with the STEM Plus for All program is that we actually recruit actively people that are changing their careers. So we're hoping that you come from a different background and don't have a teaching license and don't have any experience necessarily with formal, education system. We do actually recruit a lot of people that are paraprofessionals and teachers' aides and things like that. However, people from STEM backgrounds do really well in our program. And our program does consist of 74 credit hours for everyone. So we are looking for people that are starting from the ground up. And it is, depending on when you join the program, usually anywhere from 4 or 5 semesters long, which is about anywhere from 16 to 18 months long. And as the slide says 18 courses, but I need to check that and make sure that that's actually accurate. It's somewhere around 18 courses, but it is definitely 74 credit hours for our program.
And as I mentioned earlier, it is online. All of our courses are online, and they are all asynchronous. So you don't have a specific meeting time per se, except for maybe the seminar that you would do with Ryan, because you're going to talk about the time that you're going to spend in the field, which is the next piece of it. So if you come into this program with no experience, it's okay, because it is really clinically rich. So you get an opportunity to be in the field, in the classroom, and our assignments are tied to what you'll be practicing in the field. So you'll learn about the content, but then you'll have an opportunity through these clinically rich experiences to actually put those things into practice. So learn about it and do. So you're actually hands-on learning those things. And so taking time to process what's happening in the field is part of the seminar that you'll do with Ryan. And that's usually arranged when it works best for everybody's schedule. Is that correct, Ryan?
That is correct, yep.
Awesome. Okay. So it's not like, oh man, everybody has to be here at this time, because everybody is coming from a different perspective and from a different schedule. So we have people that are teaching during the day. Some people are teaching and adding additional licensure areas. So that time is arranged to make it work for everybody. And the capstone for all of this, we don't have a test per se. You know, for your master's degree, we have a master's research project, which is action research. So you're actually getting to reflect on or learn about a particular part of your practice and reflect on that practice and collect data to answer a research question that you have about your practice. So again, it's all applied. Now there are tests that you have to take for licensure. That's required by the state, so you can get your licensure. So those are things you'll have to do right before. You have to take those before you graduate. You have to pass them for licensure. And I should have mentioned, we will have time for questions and answers. So I'm not ignoring you. There will be time for that at the end. So we have 3 licensure areas. You have 3 options. There's the mild to moderate educational needs, which will prepare you. It's the master's degree. All of these are master's degrees with license for teaching students in 12 that have learning disabilities, mild cognitive disabilities, and or emotional disturbance. So that's the mild to moderate track. That's the mild to moderate license. And this is licensure in the state of Ohio. And then there's the moderate to intensive educational needs. Again, master's degree, but the license for teaching students in grades K-12 that have moderate to severe intellectual disabilities and or multiple disabilities. And then the last option is early childhood intervention specialist, which is a master's degree with license for teaching those wee little peanuts, the PK through grade 5. So our coursework is kind of chunked. There are 12 credit hours, 4 classes that are like the teacher education core, that everybody, regardless of the license they're getting, regardless of which teacher education program they're in, you have to take those 4 courses. So those are common to all programs, across all programs. Then there are 18 credit hours of special education classes, which would include things like transition class, behavior management, intensive behavior support, collaboration and consultation. So those are kind of, everybody has to take those in special ed, regardless of the licensure area. And then there's specific mild to moderate, moderate to intensive, early childhood intervention specialist courses. And those are specific to that licensure area. So that would be your methods course and your practicum experiences, those clinical experiences. And then we've got some basic instructional methods courses. And if you don't have a license already, these are the things like teaching of math that are required for any license, and 4 reading classes. 1 has to be phonics, and then 3 additional reading classes, and then a computer educational technology course. So those are the ones that are required for everybody that is looking for a license in the state of Ohio. And these are some of the classes that if you already have a license, you might have already taken those. So that's where some of those credit hours get pulled back from the 72 or 74 down to closer to 30. Ryan, you want to hit this last one?
Sure. So in our traditional programs, in just the mild to moderate, moderate to intensive or ECIS programs, you can take as many or as few courses and credit hours as you like, depending on your schedule, what's happening in your life. And I think that's actually one of the great things about our program, about our programs, is that we sort of understand a lot of the people in our programs have, some of them have families, some of them have jobs. And so a lot of people take the program on a very part-time basis. We have others that, are here on a full-time basis. And really the program is set up in a way that it works for no matter what your situation is. The only caveat to that is that the STEM Plus for All program, we actually run on a cohort model. So everyone in the cohort is taking the same classes at the same time. And our program kind of runs on a schedule because we're grant funded, and we have to get people through the program in a certain amount of time to meet the requirements for the grant. But so the average course load for participants in our program is anywhere from 15 to 22 credit hours per semester. And that's because we're fitting all of that coursework into, again, that 16 or 18-month window. So some of those semesters, depending on when folks join our program, having 22 credit hours, yes, it's a lot. But at the same time, you also get through the program quickly and with a cohort of people that you can collaborate with. So I'm going to just talk a little bit more about the STEM Plus for All Teaching Fellowship. It is, again, for career changers is what we're looking for. We're looking for people that haven't taught under a license, teaching license in the state of Ohio. We offer a program that includes all of the same three major categories that Dianne discussed, which is mild to moderate, moderate to intensive, or early childhood intervention specialist. So you can have any one of those three majors in our program, and you take the same coursework. But we also supplement a couple of courses and experiences that give our participants a little more background in computer and information technology support. We start out our program immediately with practicum experiences. So you would be in a classroom engaging with a mentor teacher and K-12 or pre-K-12 learners, depending on your major. Obviously, with the pandemic, that looks different in different places, and we'll just roll with the changes as time goes on. So after your first semester or two of coursework and a practicum, you go into a 1 year long internship experience. And all of this is happening in the Columbus, Ohio area. We have a partner in Columbus that helps place our candidates in classrooms in Columbus. So during that year-long internship experience, you're in a classroom 20 hours a week. You're also completing the balance of your coursework for those 2 semesters. And then you have a couple of classes the final summer at the end of the program to finish up your master's research project and any other coursework. Part of the program that is interesting too is once you finish the program, then you would be eligible to be hired by our partner local education agency in Columbus. So they can actually really assist you in helping find a job. And so if they don't hire you themselves, then they will help you to find work in another high needs district in the Columbus vicinity. Once you are in your job after the program's over, after graduation, you have your teaching license. There is a 2-year induction program that is still run by the grant, just to help support you in those first 2 years of teaching when things can be a little bit difficult. And so we just give a little bit of professional development, a little support to make sure that you're well on your way to a successful teaching career. Let's see, commitments. So, right. There is a commitment. So you actually sign an agreement with us when you start the STEM Plus for All program that you will teach for a minimum of 3 years in the Columbus area in a high needs district. And hopefully that will be with our school partner. But if not, there are other high needs districts in Columbus that would qualify. And then the other requirement is that you do participate in that induction program those first 2 years of your teaching career. So here, I guess I really should start with the financial aid information. We actually offer a stipend of a little over $27,000 that's spread out over the 18 months of coursework. You would also be eligible, depending on your situation, for another $8,000 stipend in Teach Grant funding that I think Tasha is going to talk a little bit more about. And then folks that are eligible for other financial aid that's based on financial need, and that's outside of the program that would be decided by the financial aid office. But that $27,000 is paid to you in 3 installments, again, kind of spread out over the course of the program. So just to be very clear, you would still be responsible for paying your tuition bills each semester and any associated fees. This is just kind of a stipend on top of that. And we have a breakdown. Maybe I should have shared it on this slide. We have a breakdown that shows how much you would pay versus how much we pay you to be in the program to help you offset those costs of living that you'll be incurring, and you end up, it's actually a money-making deal on your end. So that is, in a nutshell, that's the STEM Plus for All program.
And as Ryan mentioned, I'll just share a little bit about the program cost and financial aid. So the tuition and fees, though that detailed information is maintained by the bursar's office, and I'll make sure that you have a link to that before you leave in the chat. For any master's degree, the cost is $596 for 1 through 8 hours for Ohio residents. Now, the special education programs also have what's called comprehensive pricing, and that is a total of the $4,835 for full-time study, and that covers anywhere from 9 until 18 hours, and that's for Ohio residents. If your residency is out of state, then there are additional fees. And so that cost jumps to $1,092 per credit hour for 1 through 8 hours. And the total for the semester would be 8,831 hours for full time. So that being said, as Ryan mentioned, these special education degree granting programs, all of the master's degree programs, are eligible for federal financial aid. And a big key is the TEACH grant. And so for the majority of graduate study, the bulk of financial aid that is available comes in the form of loans. Unless you are able to, if you're in a traditional campus-based program, sometimes there are greater opportunities for things like GAs and TAs. But for online students, the majority of federal aid comes in the form of loans. But for special education majors and for certain other majors, the TEACH grant is an option that basically makes available to you the same amount of money that you would be awarded in the form of a loan, but it is a grant as long as you agree to the stipulations of the grant. And a primary one is that you would agree to teach in a high needs area after you have your license. And so any special education major who's pursuing a degree needs to look into the TEACH grant. And you begin the process for all aid, loans, TEACH grant, anything, you begin that process by establishing any financial need, and that's done by the FAFSA, by filing the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And so I also will make sure that you have the financial aid office information and those links. And I also wanted to mention, because I know that there are some people who are interested in the pre-kindergarten special needs endorsement. Now, the endorsement is a non-degree program, and as such, it is not eligible for federal financial aid. The cost of it is a flat rate of $536 per credit hour for Ohio residents and $555 for out-of-state residents. But there are some options even for those who aren't eligible for federal aid. So even if you filed the FAFSA and your level of financial need wasn't great enough to be awarded subsidized or federally guaranteed loans, there are some private lending options. The university also offers a monthly payment plan that you can apply for, and it's $30 a year to apply for that, and that allows you to spread out the payments so that you don't owe just one lump sum per semester. And so there are some aid options, but just be aware that talking with the financial aid office is key. So that's something that you want to do. Look into that TEACH grant, file that FAFSA, and also if you are working, look into any tuition reimbursement programs, or from your employer. Talking to the human resources department is always a good thing to do. And as well, if you are civically minded and you belong to any community-based organizations, fraternities and sororities, many of them have scholarship opportunities, and some of those are available for graduate study. So it's one of those things where it takes some effort to find some financial aid for graduate study, but it can be done and it's worth doing, and we're here to help.
Tasha, Mackenzie wanted to know, do you have to apply for the Teach Grant or will you be eligible through the FAFSA?
The FAFSA is how you apply for it. So all you do is file that FAFSA, and then in the financial aid office, they'll match it up with your major, and that connection will happen. And we have 2 staff members in the university's financial aid office who are assigned to work with online students. And they know that this is something that they are to look for whenever they see a special education major.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question. So at this time, we're going to just kind of slide into a question and answer period. So if you have any questions about any of the programs that we've mentioned tonight, whether that's about the benefits of the program, and we've talked some about those, but if you want to get into the nitty gritty, we're happy to do more about that. Some folks in sessions like this have questions about what kind of courses they'll be taking and when, and is there a particular order? Happy to discuss that as well. We have discussed the cost somewhat, and thank you, Tasha, for all of the numbers and information. We can also talk about application requirements if you're not familiar with our applications, or any other questions that you have. We are here to do, to engage with you and answer your questions as best we can. And if we can't find the answer to your question, if we don't have it, we will be sure to get your contact information and follow up with you offline. So I see that Mackenzie has their hand up. Mackenzie.
I'm so sorry for all the questions. I was just wondering too, for the STEM Plus for All program, do you apply to that separately, or how exactly do you get involved with that?
That's a great question. So it's the same application for all of our programs, but within the application, there's an administrative field that you can actually type in the word STEM, or I think it's STEM Plus. There's some directions in the application now, and then that will route that application to our team.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. We've got another.
Tasha made sure that happened. Thank you, Tasha, for making sure that happened.
Lauren has a question.
Hi. So I'm a preschool teacher right now at a very small Catholic school that has no special needs or anything like that. So if we had to do a classroom experience while we are working, I was just wondering how you guys work around full-time teachers with that.
That is very tricky, Lauren. That is a really good question. Diana, you're welcome to jump in here if you have any good answers for Lauren. So Lauren, let me ask you a couple of questions if you don't mind. You're saying that you don't have any students that have an IEP or that receive any kind of special education services?
So right now I will be getting a child hopefully next year that will be receiving services outside of our school. So I will not be working directly with creating his IEP or working with the person who is giving him his services.
Right.
So I just didn't know if I would have to unfortunately leave my job in order to go do the classroom experiences, or if there was a way where I could just somehow find a different way to do that. I do have lower end students, but unfortunately my school does not provide services for those kids within our school.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I think there are ways to be creative about this, especially leveraging technology. If we've learned anything from the pandemic experience, is that we can zoom in and out of places that we didn't realize that we could do. So we have a lot of our candidates right now that are providing or completing practicum type experiences completely virtually. So if there were like a particular day of the week, maybe where you didn't have students, I know that some early childhood settings, maybe there's no students on Wednesdays, or maybe you have a morning off at some point for planning. If we could use that time to structure some kind of practicum experience for you, then obviously we could do that. You, Lauren, you do have a teaching license in the state of Ohio already?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so your program would look pretty different. And I think Dianne knows the specifics better as far as what those practicum requirements would be. But because you wouldn't have to do an internship experience or anything like that, they're a little bit more to a minimum. Is that accurate, Dianne?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to do another professional internship or a student teaching because you've already done one, but you would have to do a longer practicum. So if somebody doesn't have a teaching license, we usually have them do 2 practicum experiences, each one 2 credit hours. But if you're coming full time. If you already have a license, then you would still do 2 practicum experiences, but they would be 3 credit hours each. So you just do more time in the field in terms of credit hours. So for every credit hour, it's 30 hours, clock hours. So you would be doing 90 clock hours each semester. Does that help, Lauren?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. I believe Mac has a question.
Yeah, just gonna say that.
Yeah. Hey guys. So I'm doing a full career change here, and my fiance and I, we just moved to Dover. So how do you guys work? Would we work with you to do? Would I contact schools and see if I could do a practicum with different schools and figure out which one would work, or how would that work being in Dover?
Sure.
Area?
Yeah. Typically, what we do for practicum experiences is we ask you, do you have any contacts? Do you have anyone in your community that we could contact at a school that might be willing to help us out? And for people that don't, if you're new to Dover and you don't know anyone up there, you would tell me where you are geographically, what the districts are in your area, and then I would contact the people, some administrators in those districts, to see if we could come to an agreement and have an arrangement where you could complete your practicum at those schools.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Yep. Good question, Mac.
What else you got?
Jill has her hand up.
I couldn't tell if it was going up or not. There it is. Hi. My question was, as far as timeline for, I'm a student at OU currently, and I'll be graduating after fall semester. Will there be, like, on the financial aid website and such, the deadlines for the Teach Grant and all the other financial aid type of things for this master's program for spring of 22? I just want to make sure I'm not late with any deadlines.
Absolutely. The specifics may not be there for that semester, but for the year, because you are doing graduate work, the bottom line is once that application becomes available, at any point you'll want to complete it. And I would say I would do that a minimum of 1 month before you want to start classes. I would do a minimum of 1 month before. For year, the FAFSA becomes available. Next year's FAFSA actually is available now. It usually becomes available in January. And for undergrad, that's a big deal. But because you are doing graduate work, just make sure that you do it a minimum of 1 month before you plan to start classes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Jill's question brings up another good point, that for the traditional program, not the STEM Plus for All, you can start any semester. We have rolling admissions, so it doesn't matter which semester you start. It's a little different, Ryan, for the STEM Plus for All.
Yeah, in the STEM Plus for All program, our cohorts start in the spring, actually, which is a little different. I'm sorry, Jill, did you have something to say? I'm sorry, I thought I interrupted you.
I'm sorry,
Jill.
you're breaking up.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. So yeah, our cohorts start in the spring and in the summer. So if we don't get enough folks in our cohorts in the spring, then we actually keep enrollment open for one more term, and we start them in the summer. So there are kind of two entry points, being spring and summer, for the STEM Plus for All program.
And Miles, you have a question?
So for like the I'm sorry.
Sorry, what?
I think Jill we're still
Jill had a
finishing up with
follow-up.
Jill. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jill, do you want
I'm sorry. My internet's a little wonky today. So when I apply for the spring 22, there would be a possibility that it may not start in spring. It may start in summer. It's kind of a wait and see.
No, we definitely start in spring. So if you apply to the program and we're accepted, you would start in the spring. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, thank you. I encourage you to apply. Okay, was it Miles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this slide actually answered my question, and you did as well, of whether when the semester would start, the spring or the summer, or fall or summer. But is there a way to get licensed for early childhood as well? So it's like with these programs, it seems like it's in a license for intervention, like an intervention specialist. So is there a way to get both licenses at the same time, or?
No, we don't currently have. Oh, go ahead, Tasha. You want to answer that?
Please, you do.
Okay. All right. We had a program that was a blended master's program that was early childhood and early childhood intervention, but you had to come in with one or the other. So you would gain licensure in the one that you didn't have licensure in already. But we had to phase that program out. So currently there is no master's program with licensure in just early childhood, early education.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mackenzie? I believe you're still muted, Mackenzie.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm doing a career change as well. And so I know with the credit hours, I'll be on the higher end of the spectrum there. So I was wondering if you could tell me if that's the case, if there would be a difference in how many semesters the program would be normally versus if I did do the STEM Plus program.
Right. If it's full time, it's probably a year and a half.
Okay.
And
Thank
Ryan,
you.
for STEM Plus?
Yeah. Depending on when you enter the program, it would be anywhere from 16 to 18 months.
Okay, and sorry, this brings along
about the same.
Yeah.
Okay, this brings along another question. I'm so sorry. So I actually have already applied for the fall semester, and because you said, Ryan, that the STEM Plus is usually the spring or the summer, is there a way I can go back and apply for the summer instead?
I think Tasha can probably address that.
Yes,
Okay.
you definitely can. If you have already submitted the application and paid the application fee, then what I would need to ask you to do is a deferral application to change the term. So can you do me a favor and either put your email address in the chat or send me a note to elearning@ohio.edu, and then
Yeah, of
I
course.
can send you that specific detailed information.
Of course, yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I told you she was the goddess of all answers.
I was just
Yes.
going to say that.
You thought I was kidding. Mm-hmm.
Right?
In action, right there.
You
All
got
right,
to see
Mac,
it
you have.
live, people.
Yep. Mac, you had a question?
Yeah. So for the Teach grant, we would have to obviously agree to teach in a high needs area for 3 years after graduation. Is there a list of those areas when they give you the option to take the Teach grant of where those areas would be for that?
If you're talking about the Teach grant specifically and not tied to STEM Plus for all, there is a list on that Teach grant website. I have seen it, so I know it exists. Let me dig into the website and see if I can find that. And if I don't have it before we end this call, feel free to send me an email at elearning@ohio.edu, and I will get that for you because I know that it's there. I've seen it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
It's absolutely there. Yes. I've seen it too. So you can check ahead of time if there's a district that you had in mind that you were hoping to work in to see if it's on the list.
Right.
Awesome.
That's good.
Awesome.
I actually didn't know that. So thanks, Mac, for asking that question.
Mm-hmm.
Jill put her hand up again. What's up, Jill?
Yeah, I need a little clarification on the high needs. Is that referring to the economic needs of the area or school district, or special needs?
Another good question. So that, I believe, unless Dianne or Tasha want to correct me here, I believe that refers to like the high economic need
Okay.
that that school or that district would be residing in.
Okay.
And Teach grants, you wouldn't even be eligible if it wasn't a high need area where there's a need for teachers. So
okay.
Like language arts education, I don't believe that they are even eligible for Teach grants because there isn't a teacher shortage. So there's a high need in terms of teacher shortage, which makes you eligible for the Teach grant to begin with. And then then they want you to teach for 3 years in a high socioeconomic need area.
Okay, that's why I wasn't ever sure.
SES. Okay. Yeah, low SES.
Okay, thanks.
And the thing about the Teach grant is that if you're not able to find a position in a high needs area, the money that was dispersed to you as a grant would, it would convert to a loan. So basically it would become a federal loan, a federally guaranteed loan with the repayment terms that fall with any federal loan. Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So I had a question regarding the programs you listed. Is the GRE required for those throughout the application process? No? Okay. That was one of my big questions. So I'm coming in without any teaching licensure. I have worked in a school as a parapro in the past, but I'm jumping into this new. So, but okay. Thank you.
In.
Yeah, please. And good question. Yeah, GRE, that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
I've taken it. It's not fun. But while you're doing your application, the requirements along with the application are a copy of your resume, 3 letters of reference. And so those recommendation letters just need to come from someone who can speak toward your ability to succeed as a graduate student. And so basically you want, if you had faculty that you worked with during your undergrad who were very familiar with you, that you had a great relationship with, they would be a good candidate for a reference. An administrator in your school where you with whom you work and with whom you've done planning and coordination, and that they can speak to your organizational skills and your ability to get the job done, those would be good candidates for a reference. So those 3 letters of reference, copy of your resume. The application fee is $50. And am I forgetting anything?
A writing sample just to explain why you want to why this program? What brought you to this?
Okay. And on the application, there is a space for a writing sample and a space for an autobiographical statement. And what you want to do is you're writing what's the equivalent of the autobiographical statement. So upload it to that autobiographical statement space and leave the writing sample blank. That is not required by this program.
Great, thank
We'll
you.
get a sense of your writing from that. Mm-hmm. Olivia, you had a question?
Olivia.
Hi, yeah, so I am currently a student at Ohio State, and I'm going to be graduating this spring with my Mod Do Intense K-12 license. And of course, I've now decided that pre-K is where I want to be. So I guess I was just wondering if anyone knows if like school districts in Ohio are allowed to hire a teacher like conditionally, because I want to do pre-K. I'm struggling if I want to try to find an elementary job and jump into my first year of teaching while I try to get this endorsement. Mm-hmm. If I just want to like maybe be like a para while I get this endorsement, so I'm still in like the schools. I've kind of heard conflicting things on whether or not districts will hire conditionally, like if they know I've been accepted to this program and like I'm currently seeking the endorsement. So I guess just if anybody has any clarification on that.
Yes, they can. You can apply for, well, the district would apply for an alternative license for you, and then you would send your transcripts to the state. They would do an evaluation of it. You would see, they would tell you, you need to take this, 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 and this, and you could work under that alternative license until you take all of those classes. And we can help you determine what those classes would be. Or you can just go straight to your master's degree, and working on your master's degree with licensure through a traditional program and not the alternative license. And the district could just hire you under the degree you have.
Okay, so if I was hired conditionally, would it not necessarily be just the 3 classes that are in the endorsement program that I would have to take? Would there potentially be more?
Okay, if you're talking about the PKSN, then
yeah,
it's
I'm sorry.
Then it's just the 3 classes, right?
Okay, awesome, thank you.
And that application is a little different, I believe. It only requires 1 letter of recommendation. Is that correct, Tasha?
Yes, it just requires the 1. And when you are going to the application for the PKSN, that is a non-degree program, so you want to make sure that you use the non-degree application. And I'll pop some URLs in the chat as well.
Awesome.
And yes, you would need to provide your teaching license as evidence for that application. That's the other thing that's required for that application.
So do I need to wait to apply until I've gotten my license? Because I probably won't get that until May or June.
No. That's just for people that are going for the pre-K special needs endorsement. They would need to they'd need to provide their license. For the rest, to determine which classes you would need or not need, we would review your transcripts. So when you submit your transcripts, then along with your application, then we would go through your transcripts and see which courses you've had, and we would develop an individualized program study for you, saying these are the classes that you would need.
Okay, I have one more question then, just to like clarify that. So if I'm applying for the pre-K endorsement, I'm also still at Ohio State right now, and I won't have my license in K-12 probably until May or June, because I don't graduate until May. Right. So that'll probably be after the application deadline. I won't have my license by April 15th. I'll still be student teaching. So does that mean I can't apply for this program until the fall?
We have conditionally admitted people on the fact that knowing that they would be submitting their app in this kind of a situation where your license is coming, you've applied for it.
I haven't applied for it yet. My professors have told us to kind of wait until it gets closer to graduation, because if we apply too soon, it'll get declined. I'll still be student teaching through the end of April, so.
Okay, right. But yes, that's fine. just make a note in your application, and or you can communicate with the person that is well, I'll make a note of it too. If you send me an email and remind me of that, then when I'm reviewing applications, I'll know that we'll just expect it later, that it's coming.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. And I just wanted to make a point about the application deadlines. April 15th is not the day that you submit just your piece of the application and then everything else comes in later. You want to have your whole package done by April 15th. So already contacting your references and make sure they know that they're going to be getting a request for application or for letters of recommendation. Start gathering all of your information ahead of time so that it's complete by April 15th. Other questions? Jill.
Yeah. Should I, I'm, blah, 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 I can't talk tonight. Should I turn in my application now, even though I'm not planning to, assuming I would get accepted, start till fall of 22? Is it too early, or just go ahead and get it done?
Jill, were you talking?
It's too early.
Is it too early?
Yeah.
That term is not available on the application form yet.
Oh, okay.
It will be within, but it
I love your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lauren asked if we will email people for your letters of recommendation. When you fill out the application, you'll put in their contact information and the system will automatically send them a link asking them to submit a letter of recommendation on your behalf.
And if through some crazy coincidence, because this never happens ever anymore, you actually got a hard copy of a letter, you could scan that and then email that to graduate@ohio.edu, and it would be attached to your application. So feel free at any point to email graduate@ohio.edu with questions about the actual application process. You can send those to me at elearning@ohio.edu. But if you need to submit materials, you can always send those to graduate@ohio.edu.
Other questions for us? We've been so thorough.
Well, it looks like
virtual wait time.
No, it's so awkward, isn't it?
It really is.
I'm never sure how long, especially
know.
since you can't see people. Normally you can tell by people's faces, but it's like, are they sleeping?
We've had some really good questions and like a high level of engagement. I mean, this has been great.
Yep.
awesome.
You're welcome, Mackenzie. I guess that was to you, Ryan.
I got it.
But I'll speak for you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Well, I guess I will say that since we do want to be respectful of your time, and if you don't have any other questions, we're not going to make you sit here and look at us, although we could. But what I will leave as my parting shot, you see those application deadlines, and we've gotten these links in the chat. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at elearning@ohio.edu. And again, if I don't know the answer, I can find someone who does, and I will make sure that we get back in touch with you as quickly as possible. The biggest thing to remember is for summer semester, shoot for having all of your materials in by April 15th, and then the application deadline continues on. Think about it as basically being a month before classes start. That's always a good time frame to shoot for in anything, is a month before classes start. So complete that FAFSA if you are interested in a master's degree and you're interested in the Teach Grant. Get that application in, except for you, Jill. We're going to have you wait a little bit. And we
No
really
worries.
are. And I mean, I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of everyone, and I'm the newest kid on the block, but we really are grateful that you joined us here today and that you're interested in our programs. We have a caring and committed faculty who really are experts in their field. And one of the great things, oh, I'm so glad I thought of this, and I wouldn't have thought of it if I wasn't talking. One of the great things about our program is that there really is ongoing career support. And so that support comes both from our faculty who have great relationships with different school districts and people across the state and who are looking for teachers. They will contact us if they're looking for teachers. But one other thing that is a really phenomenal perk from Ohio University is that we have what's called the Office of Career and Leadership Development Center. The CLDC is a great service that is available for all Ohio students, all Ohio University students, sorry, OSU person, and not only is it available to our students, but it is also available to our alumni on a lifelong basis. So it includes things like mock interviews, and there are different career preparation services that they offer from the CLDC, and that is something that is available to you as an Ohio University student and or alum. So again, thank you all so much for attending, and I will make sure that we follow up with you just to see if you have any other questions. Again, I appreciate this group so much because of your commitment to help some of the most vulnerable little people and older people. The people who need the most help are those who have special needs. So thank you for your commitment to help those who need the most help. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.